Hello everyone. Welcome to our Harmony Hall Gravel Grinder Routes Overview video. I am Kevin with Spinistry. I do promise to make this as brief as possible. We are looking forward to seeing everyone on Saturday, and this is for folks that are coming that way and want to get a better idea what the routes are about and how things work. And the routes are available to everyone, at least on what we call preliminary routes. And I'll explain more of that in a minute. Preliminary routes are available to everyone that has signed up for the event so far. If you are a registered participant and you haven't received the routes yet or accessed them, just return to the registration page. With your Run Sign Up account, log in. It'll recognize that you're registered for the event. Just scroll on down. And just above the directions and view map, there's a link on the route for the routes. And you click on that. It will take you to Ride with GPS, a dedicated event page for the Harmony Hall Gravel Grinder. It'll ask you to RSVP, to confirm your RSVP. Definitely check that. If you don't yet have a Ride with GPS account, don't worry about it. It is free of charge. So go ahead and set up the Ride with GPS account, RSVP your confirmation. That way you definitely have the latest version of the routes, okay? So even if you've looked at it once, you can go back to it if we make any changes. And that's not uncommon. That's why we call the routes preliminary routes until we mark them the day before the event on Friday and we see everything for the final time. Yep, we verified them just a couple weeks ago, but things can happen. Bridges can be out, roads can be closed, roads can be plowed under fields. We've seen it all happen over the years. So routes are considered preliminary until they are marked, and we will let everybody know after they're marked on Friday when they are final and if there have been any changes. So definitely you want to RSVP. Once you are on the event page, it shows all of the routes. We have a 35 mile, and if you look to the right, it'll put in black each of these routes. What we have is a screen that has all the routes on at one time showing on the map together. We have a 35-mile route, a 45-mile route, a 55-mile route, and a 70-mile route. And let's just kind of blow up this page here. And you can see the yellow here, that's basically the 70-mile route. And where each of these little colored sections bisect it, that's where a shorter route has an offshoot. So this red one here, that's where the 35 splits off going this way and cuts the route short. And then it turns before industry, and that gives it the 35-mile route. The 45-mile route continues up this way. It cuts this corner here, comes back, and it also turns off before industry, but follows the same finish as all of the other routes. The 55-mile route does the whole yellow route through here, up past industry, and then it does a little cut through here, and then picks up the same finish as the 70-mile route from that point. And obviously the 70-miler just does the whole kit and caboodle. So that's how all the routes work together. We love doing it this way. This way, all of the different distances see as much of the same route as is possible. And this one lays out really well for this. This even gets more than usual. So we like this layout a lot. We're going to look at some 35-mile specifics now, but it does pertain to all of the other distances as well. This is our staging area, the beautiful and historic Harmony Hall in Shelby, established in 1875. We do have restrooms here, plenty of parking, a big shaded pavilion area right out front. But for our after party, air conditioned indoor restrooms, that's what we have available for everyone. But if you do want to hang out in the big covered porch out front and watch the other racers finish, and sitting on the front porch, you can enjoy a cold, frosty, hoppy beverage as well. But we'll have food and cold drink for everyone as they finish each ride. And this obviously is the same for all the distances. Same parking, same restrooms, same finish area with the same great after party. So this is relevant to all of the distances. The 35 miler, I'll go ahead and show the start and finish the same way. So we'll scroll out a little bit here. And I apologize if there were any glitches there. Sometimes Facebook gets a little bit glitchy on the satellite imagery as you zoom in and out. All routes start pretty much the same way. We'll get about a mile out of town and turn into our first dirt area. And we have several miles of good gravel there. Okay, and here about the 4-mile mark is where the 35 miler does split off from the others. Everyone else hangs a left, and the 35 milers hang a right, and we'll do a short stretch up this way, and then they actually join back with the main route here at about mile 5.5. Cross the highway, and here we will have at this intersection, we'll have a rolling water table, not even 10 miles in for the 35 milers. For the other distances, it's around the 20-mile mark. So 35 milers may not need to stop this early. I plan for this one at the moment to be a rolling water table where I'll be there in my truck and see everybody as they come through at this point. We won't be able to do any sag or anything like that because what I'll have to do is take that water table once everyone passes through the first time and then to go drop it for another drop later in the route. But mile 9 and then the 35 milers will head this direction just before the town of Industry. Wind around the countryside some here. And then about the 20-mile mark, like I said, 19 3/4, we'll have a dedicated water table. That's for everyone, and that's the main one the 35 milers will use there. Just plan on water being there. We may have some snacks as well, but just plan on water being there. There definitely won't be any Gatorade or Cokes or beers or anything like that. Water tables are just that. They're water. They're unmanned. If we leave other stuff there, it can attract critters or people that just take the other stuff for their own use. So we usually just leave water at the water tables. Is pretty much the way we do it day in, day out for our events. And then the route winds through the woods here for the finish. Comes back around the backside of Shelby. Goes through some really pretty stuff up through here towards the finish. A shorter stretch of highway, maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles. Finish through historic heart of Shelby. Some really neat stuff through here, and then back at Harmonie Hall. So that's the overview for the 35-mile route with its one dedicated water table, and most likely you guys will see me in the truck as well for about the 9-mile mark. We'll do the 45 milers now. So up here at mile 4, that's where the 35 milers took a right and joined in here, but everyone else, including the 45 milers, will hang a left, wind around up in here. And then for the 45 milers, where is that? Just before mile 20, you'll be at that rolling water table I was talking about. You'll turn before Industry. At a little over mile 30, you'll hit that main water table and then do the same wind around and backdoor back into Shelby. So that's the 45 miler. Now 45 milers, here at mile 9, you're going to go straight and hang a right at about mile 10. If you're riding with longer distance riders, you'll see some of them peel off to the left here. If you want a couple extra miles, that's perfectly fine. This is actually a really neat section through here, but if you're racing, training race, worried about your time, you want to be sure to go straight. If you're out for just a nice casual day of riding and 45 miles might be a little short for you, fantastic. Pick up a couple extra miles here. You're more than welcome to. Do the 55-mile overview very quickly here as well. So that's where the 55 miler, it picks up that little section there. Mile 10's right at the halfway point. Like I said, it might be a couple extra miles for the 45 milers. So that gives you your water table at mile 21, the rolling water table. Now 55 milers, what you'll do, you won't take this right you will continue into Industry. There's a convenience store in town if you need something a little more solid. And then you'll do this loop northeast of town, and you'll go back by the convenience store one more time, and then you'll pick back up on the route where everyone else did. And so you'll have your first water table at mile 21, a convenience store that you'll go by the same store a couple times after that, and then again at mile, what mile is this? 39 and a half, another dedicated water table, and then you'll finish the same way as the other routes. 70 milers, let's give your overview. You do have one extra wild card in here that we'll talk about a little bit. So you'll do everything the same as the 55 miler. That means your first water table will be at mile 21. You'll go by the convenience store, and then you'll do this northeast loop that goes longer than the 55 milers. This is some really good stuff up here. This is some of the more open plains area though. So this will be still fairly early in your ride. It will most likely get warmer later in the day. There's not much shade up in here. There's a good bit of shade on the rest of the route that you can chase around though. But this part up here is going to be pretty much open plains area, rolling plains area. There's a little bit of elevation in the mix. My rolling water table that was here at mile 21, once everyone's gone through the first time, I'll roll over here to about mile 45 for the 70 milers, and I'll drop the water table and water, and for the 70 milers I'll probably drop some snacks here as well. But you'll also go by that store again in Industry if you need something a little more substantive. And then you'll pick up at mile 47 the rest of the route and follow that in just like everyone else. Easy peasy, right? Really good routes. I think folks are going to enjoy them. Really pretty up there. When we were there a couple weeks ago, the flowers were just going nuts. The trees were fully canopied, plenty of shade in the treed areas. Absolutely gorgeous up there. The forecast is calling for it to get warmer later in the day, low 90s, I think. But realistically, even though we're starting at 9 a.m. to give people time to drive in, so they don't have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning or anything like that. The 70 milers, you might be up against a little bit warmer afternoon if you're not one of the fastest 70 milers out there. We'll have the water tables. There will be that store that you go by a couple times. But if your heat tolerance isn't built up yet and you're doing the 70 miler, maybe look at dialing that back to the 55, or at least just take a really easy pace and keep track of yourselves. Everyone else, if you're doing anything shorter than the 70, just keep chugging along at a nice steady pace. Don't overdo it if you start feeling a little warm. I don't think it's going to be that terrible out there, but it is also one of those things. If you overdo it in the heat, you can't come back from it. So don't overdo it. Just chug along, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the ride, stop at the water tables, and then when you get back to Shelby at the end, join us for cold drinks, pizza, and awards, and all the other goodies, and some really cool giveaways thanks to our friends at the Black Bibs as well. Looking forward to it. We'll see everybody on Saturday.